Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel on this beautiful day. How you guys and girls doing? My god, I hope you're doing good. Today we're going to be talking about something, just nothing new really, something we talked about before, this whole shader thing here. We're going to be dividing up our program into classes, so it's going to be more like an engine type thing. So it's easier to create shaders, meshes, textures, stuff like that. Just it will be like a part of our engine instead of just everything in main, right? So all of this code here, everything, all this annoying stuff here is going to be a class. So if we just start off by creating this class, we'll create a new item, a header, and we'll call it shader because it's appropriate. So shader.h, and we'll just add that like that. Now I know I've coded everything here in the load shaders. This is all we're going to be looking at today, so don't worry. Load shaders, and we're going to be just copy pasting stuff from here, and I'll explain things as I go, and it shouldn't be too hard. If you know how the shader code works here, loading the shaders, it shouldn't be hard. It's just that we're making a class now instead. One thing that might be a little annoying is all these includes, and what I do want is I already included here, include shader.h in our libs.h. So when we include libs.h here, our shader will be included. But one thing that we need to do then is we need to take some of this functionality, all these includes, and we need to put it in shader as well. Now I know double includes aren't really good for compile time and all that stuff, so if you want to be meticulous, remove some stuff that you don't need. Like I don't need vector, I probably don't need matrix transform either, but all these other ones you might need. Alright, you might actually not need these, or you do. We'll see. But you need glue and glfw and all iostream, fstream, and string, and they're all in here as well in libs.h. So you might want to remove them from here if you don't want double includes. But I'm not going to do that. I don't really mind that much right now in this tutorial purposes. This is more to show you how you want to. How you want to just. Let me just put this up here. There we go. How you want to divide everything up. So let's just run our program first. Let's see if everything works. Everything's fine. Nothing's crashing. Because we have our little cat with our specular lighting that we just implemented in the last video. Beautiful specular. Just like that. And everything should work just the same if I do this right. So class shader. Simple. Just like that. Almost like that. There you go. So we want private and public members here. So our private members, let's start here. Let's see. What were we going to need? Let me just create an outline here. What we're going to need is just an ID. So I'm just going to say gl uint ID. This is the program ID which we have in main. Because we have our shader somewhere, here somewhere. Shader program. And what we do is the program right here, which we'll link. I think, yeah, we send it in here in load shader. So this is going to be our ID, the program ID basically. And then we're going to have a few functions. We want it to be a little more dynamic. So it shouldn't be as constricted, right? So you might not want to load all types of shaders and such things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just create a function here that returns a source code loaded from a file for a shader. So it's going to be called, it's just going to return std string load shader source like that, and we're going to say char file name like that. And this is going to be a function, and it's going to return the string. Yeah, it's going to return a string containing the source code. And then we're going to have a function that returns a certain shader. It creates a shader and it returns it to us. So gl uint load shader. And we want a gl enum type and the char file name in here as well, because they're kind of going to be connected, these two. We're going to use this in here. So the type is going to be like we saw in main. The type is going to be this, the GL vertex shader, fragment shader, or geometry shader. Alright, so we're not talking about the geometry shader just yet, but we'll be creating functionality for it, so we can create one if we want to. But we don't have to. So the fragment shader and the vertex shader are both, you know, you have to have them. Obligatory, I think it's called, obviously, yes. But the geometry shader is not something you must have. So we want to create a shader class that is kind of dynamic like that. So you don't have to create one, but you can if you want to. So this is going to load one shader. And observe, I'm doing this under the private section because these are all private functions. We don't want these to be accessed outside. Everything that's going to be accessed outside is going to be down here. So yeah, let me just go ahead and do this. So load shader source, load shader, and then we want a last thing here. We want something called a link program. So it's not really going to do much. It's just going to do link together everything. So GL link. Oh, whoops, what am I doing? Void link program. And we want to send in whatever we want to link. So GLUint vertex shader, GLUint geometry shader, GLUint fragment shader. So these are the three types of shaders we can send in to link a program. Now these don't have to contain anything, and then we'll kind of account for that. But yeah, this is so that the geometry shader doesn't have to exist, but we can still link the vertex and the fragment. You'll see as we go along. And then in the public section, what we need is we need the shader constructor like this. And what is the constructor gonna include? And it should include, let me think here, it should include, let's see, the files for the different things. Let's see here. So we'll create that. We'll do char vertex file, char vertex file, char pointer geometry file equal is empty, obviously, and then char fragment file like this, and that's empty right there. So this means that we can send in different file names and they can be empty. So this could be empty. If this is empty, we're just gonna load the vertex and the fragment. So yeah, there you go. Another good way, a better way to do this is to actually create like this. So the char or the geometry file has, it's kind of, it can be empty from start, but the vertex and the fragment file, you have to give it something at least. So yeah, this is actually a good way to do it. So let me see. Another important thing is the destructor shader, and all this is going to do is just gl delete program this ID like that. So it's just going to delete our ID, and that should be good. Let me just think what we're going to do now. Good. We'll get to all these smaller things later. We're going to have helper functions in here, so we can do set uniform functions like that. Here's constructors, destructors, and then all private functions, and then member variables, just to keep everything clear. So there we go. Let's just start with load shader source. Now this is probably one of the easier ones. All you have to do is you have to do this, what we have done here. So you just want to copy everything from load shader. You want to copy everything from this temp here, and you want to copy it down to the close here. Just do that, and we'll go into the shader file again. We'll just paste that in there. So just take a good look at this. Don't worry too much about the copy paste. You can remove the load success. You don't want that. Now I'm going to change the text here to shader error. Shader could not open file, and I'm going to just create a colon there and then a space, and then I'm going to print out the file name like that, because this is our file name. Now temp source are required. This is what you want to change in here. Infile.open is file name now, like that. And then we're just going to open it up. put everything into temp like we did before. Just copy paste the code, so it should still work. And then the source is gonna be, you know, we're gonna add that temp line into the source with a new line. Otherwise, we're just gonna say could not open file, and then we're gonna close the file. Now, the last thing we want to do in this function is after we close the file, we want to return src. So we want to return source, because this is the actual source string. It's going to contain on the source for the shader. So that's good. Load shader source should be completed. It isn't anything really complicated, but the next one we're going to have to change a little bit in. Load shader. So go ahead. Let me just see if I'm recording. Yes, I am. Let go. Oops. I don't want to bring these up. Let me go. Whoops. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. Let's go to main. That's what I want to do. Copy everything from this vertex shader down to here. Just down to here. But we're going to need these as well, so don't worry. We're just going to copy this from the vertex shader down to the last bracket here. And just curly brace, sorry, just put that in there in the load shader function. And here we're gonna have to get some more stuff. We're gonna have to get all this stuff up here as well, down to success from load success. Just put that above all this code we just pasted in, and remove the load success. We don't need that anymore. Boom, easy peasy. So we have the info log and our success variable here. And we're just going to change some names. So everywhere where you see vertex shader, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different places, we want to change that to just shader. All right. So make sure you change all of these, otherwise you're going to get errors. So just change all that to shader. These 5 places here. And we're going to say src here instead. In const glchar pointer src. Source, and change this as well in here. GL shader source shader src right in there. Nothing else needs to be changed. This is going to be this load shader source file name, and then .c string, just like that. Nothing special, nothing you need to worry about. Sorry about the sound. Let's see. So let me just turn that off. So let me just see. GL shader source. We put that into the const glchar. One error that you can get here, which I have noticed, is also, we'll just do this for safety's sake. We'll create a std string str source, and we'll do the load. I just remembered this. Load shader source into that. Because for some reason, sometimes I get an error if I do it directly from the function. And then you just remove this load shader and just say src. Now I know there's a lot of acronym stuff going on here, but don't worry. Just create this string, load it in there, and then your actual source that you're going to send into the shader, you want to just do a C string from that other string variable. I hope you're getting what's going on here. It's just one extra step. Can be annoying, but still. And you want to change this GL create shader to type as well, because we want to be creating different types of shaders with the same function. So everything should look fine now. Compile status, shader, load shaders. This I'm going to change the error code here to shader. Could not compile shader just generically like that. And then I'm going to do file name in here to see which shader was the error. And then we're just gonna return shader, just like that. Shouldn't be any issues, should be fine, just like before. So now we're creating a generic shader, and just from a file, and then just sending it out. Now link program is also very important. What we're gonna need in link program is going to be these different shaders. Alright, so we got the different shaders. All we have to do is we have to copy paste some more stuff. We have to copy paste these two right here, because we're gonna be checking. Whoops, what did I just do? I think I pressed something weird, some macro button, but that's cool. So you want to get these two in here because we're gonna need them. want to go down, and then you want to create a GL program. So this ID equals GL create program, just like that. Easy peasy, right? No problem. We have a little program now. Now we want to attach all our shaders. Okay, so GL attach shader, this ID, and we want to do vertex shader because you have to have a vertex shader. But here comes a little cool thing that we can do. We can say if geometry shader. If we have a geometry shader, remember, if a shader has been created successfully, it will not be 0. It will be 1 and above or something like that. All right. Otherwise, it's going to be something that is 0. Now, what is 0 in if statement? It's a false value in the Boolean, right? So if geometry shader is 0, meaning it hasn't been loaded in from another function, then it won't be attached. If it is above 0, which is a true value, then we will attach it. So if geometry shader GL attach, I'll just copy paste this stuff. GL attach shader, geometry shader, and then we want to do GL attach shader, which I just copy pasted. I'm really dumb. Like this, and I say fragment shader, like that. So we attached all our shaders. Really good. Now we want to link this beautiful program. Sorry for the night light. I'm just gonna remove that. GL link program this ID. So now we linked our program after attaching all this stuff. So that's the steps. You want to create the program. We also want to GL use program, which might not always be good, but I always do it just in case. We use the program. We attach all the stuff, but I think this create program actually uses it as well, because in here I just created it and I attached everything. So you don't really need that. Actually, you don't really need that. We'll just remove that. Attach shaders, link the program, and then now for the error checking, I might just want to copy paste what we have in here. I'll just copy paste this, all of this. After the link program, down to above the load success, returning the load success, and go ahead in here and copy paste that. So get program IV, this ID, GL link status success, which we copy pasted up here. This ID. Just gonna change all of this. Could not link program. Info log, and just remove this load success variable. And then at the end, we're just gonna use no program. We're gonna delete these shaders. GL delete shader, geometry shader as well. Don't forget that one. So we're gonna just delete all the shaders, and we're gonna unuse the program. I want to do that in the end right there, just like that. So, oh wait, let me see. Let me just do that. Let's keep it like that. Whatever. Who cares? That's fine. That's fine. So that's great. Now we removed everything and just make sure everything's correct. Yeah, that should be great. So now we have all our functions in place. So it shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Now, in the actual constructor, what we want to do is we want to do GL uint vertex shader equals 0. GL uint geometry shader equals 0. Remember, 0 is empty shader, non-existent. Fragment shader equals 0. So we have everything 0. Now we're going to say vertex shader equals load shader, GL vertex shader, just like that, and we'll say what is our vertex core dot glsl. That's our file name. We'll copy this and we'll say fragment shader equals GL fragment shader, fragment core GLSL, fragment core.glsl. There we go. So now we have all of these beautiful things, and obviously we want to create the geometry shader if we want to. So if geometry file is not empty, we want to do the whole geometry loading. So I'm just going to copy paste this geometry shader, and then whoops, I shouldn't do this. I should do vertex file, just like that, fragment file, because we'll be creating them later outside. Geometry file, my bad. So but this should be good, this should be fine. So we have all our thingies, and then we loaded in everything we want to load in, just like that. And let me just see, let me think here. So we loaded everything in. Now we want to link the program, and we want to delete all this stuff. So we want to link it, but the link program actually deletes everything anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So basically that should be it. This link program, vertex shader, fragment shader, geometry. Is that how I did it? No, geometry fragment shader, just like that. So that's all our three stuff, and we'll link everything, and then it unuses the program, it deletes all the shaders, extra shaders, shouldn't be any problems. And yeah, that's great. What I can do is I can actually do this outside. That makes a little more sense. So we're not gonna just delete those in there, we're gonna delete them in the end here. So we're gonna just delete all of that and just do that. That should be fine. That should be fine. Let's see. Good. Okay. Okay. Actually, I'm just thinking here. After you link it, you actually just create it. I probably want to not use the program in here because it probably will be active after you create it. So I'll just unuse that, and then I will delete all the extra shaders after they've been linked. That's probably a little better. And then delete the program right there. Okay, so let me just run this. Shouldn't be a problem with all the linking. Just like that, no problem with all the linking. Nothing. In main. Now what I want to do, I'm just going to make everything smaller. Go into main. There's Control M and O, by the way, if you want to know how to just make everything smaller. Control M plus O. So let's go to where I created all the shaders. Core program right here. So I'm gonna create a shader test just like that, and I'm gonna give it 2 files. I'm gonna give it the let me just copy that. I don't, just too lazy, don't want to do all that stuff. That and fragment core. Make sure you probably want to do this as well, so you don't misspell anything. So vertex core, fragment core. Let's see, that's how it wanted it. It wanted the vertex shader. Wait, where is it? Okay, vertex file, fragment file, and then the geometry file. And we're saying nothing in there, so we don't need anything in there because we don't want a geometry file. So that's a shader test shader, basically. We just run this. Should not crash. It loaded it. And what if we do this? If we just remove this we do this core. Well, we don't want to remove it. Actually, we just kind of comment it out for now in case we have errors. And then we just say core program like this. And then we're going to go down and fix all the errors. So instead of using, we'll do this. Use program. We'll create a function in shader down here. We'll say void use like this. And all this is going to do is GL use program this ID. Okay, easy peasy. Just like that. So this is function number 1 that we're going to be doing. So this, or no, core program.use like that. So we're going to use it, and we need to set some stuff. So we need to set matrices. We need to set a vector 3 as well. So let me just go down. Let's see how to do where I want to do that. I think I want to do it in here. So use void unuse GL use program 0. So this is a way to just unuse the whole program. Now we're gonna do void set vec3f. All right, so this is for setting the uniform really easily, and then glm vec3f value like this, and we're gonna set it. So this is gonna be just for a 3f. So we're gonna have a value, and we obviously want the name as well. Calls gl char name of the actual variable in the shader. And this is just what we did before. It's just that we shorten it up and make it a little easier to work with. So we need to use the program, set the shader variable, and then we need to unuse it. So this use this unuse. Now I've seen a lot of errors here happen because you forget that you unuse the program after setting it. So sometimes people want to set stuff and then keep drawing, but that's not good because it will be unused when you start drawing. So you need to use it again before drawing. Don't forget that, because sometimes if you forget that, you'll have no shader in your pipeline working, and you'll have a lot of errors. So I know this is a long video. I'm sorry about that, but we'll just speed it up a little bit. So I'm gonna copy this vec3 thingy here, and I'm gonna paste it in here. So GL uniform through this ID. This ID will say name here 1, and then we'll send the value as a value pointer to the shader, and then we'll unuse the program. So there you go, easy peasy. We will now create a set vec2f. Probably want to create that above, and then we want to create a set vec1f as well, or glm float. Let me see. Let me think now. GL set 1f. Yeah, let's see. GL float, I think. Okay, so we'll do a GL float value. Set 1f. We'll do a value, a name, so use GL uniform 1f, I think it is. Yep. And we don't need a value pointer for that. We just need the value. So we get the uniform location, the name, and the value. So uniform location, name, and the value. Use GL1f, boom, GL2, FV. Change all of these, 2, 2, 2, and then it shouldn't be a problem. Should be the same thing for all of those. So 1f, 2f, and 3f. Now be careful to change these here as well as this value here. all right, as well as the name. Everything else in here is fine. And change all this as well. Change all this. Just make sure it's exactly like I wrote it here. Now we need one more thing. We need a way to set a mat4. Set mat4 FV. I'll call it FV like that. So we're gonna set the mat4 FV, and let me just think how to do that. We use the program GL uniform matrix, or we could just make sure we do it correctly by copying one of these like this. GL uniform matrix for FV, this ID, and then the name of the matrix, and then we're just gonna send in the value in there. And this, instead of a GLM float vec3, we're gonna have a mat4. Mat4. Whoops, what did I just do? I don't want to do all this. Mat4. Just like that. And then we also might want to transpose it. So you want to make a boolean transpose GL boolean transpose, and we'll just say transpose in there. So then we know if we want to do it or not. And we'll just do this GL false, so we don't have to type it in every time. So yeah, there you go. So we can set a mat4, vec3, vec2, one float. Also, you might want to set a texture. Obviously, since we do that in our main here, we set a texture every time this one right here. So we're just going to copy this, and we're going to copy a function like this, and then we're just going to set one I gl int value, use it one I here, and then the value and all that stuff. So actually we don't need this, do we? Nope, we don't need that. Okay, so set one I value the uniform. Boom, easy peasy. That's good. One more thing, the last one I promise that you might want is also a vec4, because we use that a lot. So all you have to do, again, you just have to change these two here and the one in here, the uniform, like that, and everything should be fine. Actually, while we're at it, I'm sorry, just want to do this so you have a complete shader class, which really helps out. Mat3, just like the same way here, mat3. So now you can send in a 3x3 instead, or as well, I should say. So there you go. Now I'm getting a little tired in my mouth from talking for a half an hour, so I'm gonna speed it up. We have a complete class right now. Go into main, and now if we just remove the use and this use right here, I would say core program dot set mat4 fv. We'll say, what is the value? Model matrix. What is the name? Model matrix. And the boolean is false. So model matrix, model matrix. Gonna set a few more of these. Do the view matrix like that, and the projection matrix. Copy that. Put it in here. So those three are complete. Now I want to do 3 float. Core program dot set 3f vec3f, and again the value light post 0, and the name light post 0. Copy paste this, and the same thing, camera position. Whoops, what did I just do? Camera position. Oh, the name is different. Oh, that's not good. That is not good, but good thing we saw that. So the name is different from the variable. That's not always good, but in this case we'll work with it. So there we go. Now we set everything. Now remember, after this line, it is still unused. The shader becomes unused after each of these. All right, so we remove it. Now we don't want that to happen once we start drawing. So we want to use the program. Use a program. Core program.use, like this. And then we need to send in a few more things. We don't need this anymore. Let me see. Core program. So let's just fix all of this. Core program.set1i right here. This is the texture. And we'll do this before. Actually, we'll do this before since we need to use the program as well. Let's do that right here after we set this. Set all of this stuff. Now, is this the draw? This is the draw. The use. Okay, I should actually just put it right there. So this is the use program. These are the uniforms being set. All right. Set 1i. 0. Texture 0. And then we have to set another one. 1. Texture 1. And just make sure this is the same. That's cool. So we'll remove that. That's set. Now the model matrix, I could copy paste this right here, the model matrix, and just remove all this. There we go, the model matrix, projection matrix. Copy paste that in there. Now we've done all of that, all this beautiful setting and stuff, and we should be good, I think. And then we use the program, we draw everything. Shouldn't be a problem. Let's see if we get any errors. We probably will. We don't. Everything is working just fine. Now, really long video. I'm really sorry about that. Probably don't want to stick around for all of this. I know that. For those of you who did, I'm really grateful. Thank you. But yeah, I hope this helped. I hope you understand the whole mechanism and why I use the program in the bottom, because every time you use this set mat or vec3 again, it unuses the program. So please use it before you start drawing your final drawing. So this whole part here is updating uniforms. All of this here, and then all of this starts the drawing. Yeah, thank you so much for sticking with me watching. Hope you learned something. The whole shader class, all of this is up in GitHub, so you can just get it, download it, check your code. And yeah, next video will probably be doing the mesh class, so we don't have to do a bunch of this extra code. I can remove this part up here as well, this whole thing here. So we created, so you can see you can create a lot of different programs easily and use them easily instead of having to write all this unnecessary code and this whole load shaders function. So we can remove the whole load shaders function as well, just like that. If I run it again, we'll be just fine because we don't use that function anymore. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I hope you learn a lot and keep working hard, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye bye.